3 eggs, lying on open sand, no nest, no shade. The surface around them is hot enough to cook them, and the parents are about to make it worse. This bird does not sit on its eggs to keep them warm. It buries, alive, under the sand. And this, a small bird inside the open jaws of a crocodile, is the image that gave it its name for 2,500 years. Then it does the strangest thing of all. It sucks its own belly in the river and presses it down over the eggs. We'll come back to way, because it is the reason all 3 of these can survive on a furnace. From the day they hatch, these chicks have about 35 days to learn to flee. Miss that deadline on an open sandbar, and almost nothing survives. To see how 3 eggs become 3 flyers, we go back to the start. This is a sandbar in the middle of a great river in Sub-Saharan Africa, and despite its name, the Egyptian plover has all but vanished from modern Egypt itself. A 19 to 20, 1 centimeters of black mask, white face, and a single black band across the chest. There is nothing else like it. It is the only bird in its entire family. So what about the crocodile? The truth is meshier than the legends. The Greek writer Herodotus described this bird cleaning a crocodile's teeth back in the 5th century BC. But in the 2,500 years since, no scientist has ever confirmed it. What we actually see is a plover beside a basking crocodile that simply does not react. The real reason this bird is a marvel has nothing to do with crocodiles, and everything to do with that sand. Watch where the nest goes. Not up in a bush, not hidden in grass. Down, a shallow pit scraped straight into the open sand. No twigs, no lining. A nest that is barely a nest. And this is the enemy nobody warns you about. Midday sand on an open bar can climb past 50 degrees Celsius. Hot enough to kill an unprotected egg in minutes. One small zant, lost in a sea of sand. The question is simple, can anything survive out here at all? Then, the first egg, pale yellow, freckled with brown, sitting in the open. A second, 10, a third, 3 eggs. That is the whole clutch. Remember that number, because the real story is whether all 3 make it out. Day 1. Now the parents must hold these eggs for 28 to 31 days, without ever truly sitting on them the way other birds do. Here is the strangest part. Every time a parent leaves, it does not just walk away, it buries the eggs completely, raking sand over them with its bill. and it never loses the spot. The parent walks straight back to the buried nest and checks it. On sand that looks completely blank. In the worst of the heat, the parent runs to the river, soaks its belly, and presses it over the buried eggs until the sand turns dark and cool. It is air conditioning them. We'll see the full chick soon, and why it saves the chicks. To. Then a shape appears on the bar, a pied crow, one of the most common nest raiders along these African rivers. Then, the ski bricks, a sudden downpour hammers the bar, and after weeks of killing heat, the danger flips to cold and water. Then, after a month buried in the sand, a crack. Within a day, all three are out. Gray-brown down, eyes already open and alert. And tentis, a chick that hatched hours ago stands up and takes a step. These are precocial chicks, not helpless, not stuck waiting in a nest. Mobile, almost from the start. Their first defense is not speed, it is stillness. Pressed flat to the sand, they nearly disappear. And there is a trick in it. A running chick flashes a bright white patch on its neck, but the instant it crouches, that patch vanishes. There, a chick snaps up its first insect and swallows it whole. Egyptian plover chicks begin feeding themselves after only about a week. Then a shadow, a bird of prey, crossing overhead, and every chick drops flat in an instant. They cannot outflee it, so they freeze, that white patch vanishes, and on this and they simply stop assisting. This is the hottest part of the day, and the moment everything has been building toward. It settles that sweated belly down over the chicks. This is the chick from the very first shot. The Egyptian plover is a living air conditioner. It carries river water in its feathers and uses its own body to cool its young on burning sand. The chicks can even drink straight from those feathers. The sand turns dark and cool, and three chicks that should be cooking sit calm and steady. No other bird on earth raises its young quite like this. They are nearly full grown now, real wing feathers running flat out across the bar. The 35-day clock since hatching is almost up. Then one of them lifts off. A few ragged meters and a landing. It isn't graceful. It doesn't have to obey. That is the deadline beaten. The other two follow in short hops and glides. All three reach their wings. And a young plover, one of those three eggs, flies low over the very spot where it was once buried alive in the sand. From 3 eggs buried on a furnace to 3 birds in the air. On a sandbar where almost nothing should survive, the crocodile bird pulls it off with nothing but river water and patience. If you had to guess, which of the 3 do you think was the last to flee? Tell me in the comments. And next, we follow a weaver bird that builds its nest hanging out over a river full of predators. On purpose, subscribe so you don't miss it.